These hoes is catfishing. Do not fall for it. Do not think that women are way better than us. Do not believe all this makeup bullshit, these filters, these angles. I'm gonna jump right into it. So society has us kind of believing, and a lot of men, a lot of lonely men, a lot of men that don't have options, that we are basically the monsters. We are the creeps. We are the ugly ones. We are the nasty ones. We are the ones that have no value, basically, unless you're like a Chad or something, right? Unless you're like a beautiful man that basically, if you're average, you're basically a monster, right? And then you're not going to get much attention. Or that you're lower down on the totem pole because you're not this 10 out of 10 type guy or this beautiful looking guy. All right. But the point I want to bring up is that most women in general, are not as attractive as they make themselves out to be. When you go on Instagram, when you go on YouTube, when you go on social media, you are bombarded with all these pretty faces, all these beautiful women, all these baddies, right? And when you don't go outside a lot, when you do not interact with girls a lot, when you become basically an incel and you have no luck, it almost feels like these women are unattainable. You see these videos, these TikToks and shit, these Instagram photos, and these women are on a whole different fucking level than you, right? You're this fat loser or this loser or whatever that doesn't have much swag or whatever, or charisma, and you just see these girls that look basically like angels, right? They look like angels, right? They're beautiful, long hair, whatnot, but this is all false. There is beautiful women that look like angels out there, but most of these women, you'll be surprised when you start going on dates, when you install Tinder or dating apps and you start getting matches and shit, and you see these women in person, it is a big difference. That's all I gotta say. It's a big difference. A lot of these girls are catfishing. They are using makeup. They are using fucking filters. They are using angles. They are using fucking apps and shit to make themselves look better. They are using clothing, dyeing their hair, tattoos, piercings, glasses, you fucking name it. I'm gonna tell you guys a story. So a long time ago, I was in the military. And I remember in boot camp, there was these things called sister flights, right? And because I was in the Air Force. And a sister flight was basically a female battalion or whatever, whatever they call it in the fucking army. But basically, there was like our group, we're men, but there was other like groups in the same like military base, basically. And I remember when they would bring in the women, right? The women squadrons or whatever, the women's groups going through boot camp. When they were stripped down, not completely stripped down, but basically they would not be allowed to wear makeup. Their hair would have to be in a bun. They would have to wear shitty fucking t-shirts and stuff. You would see them come in completely stripped of the makeup, of the fucking hair extensions, the clothes, right? The fucking fashion. And I just remember me and my mates seeing the women. We all had the same thought. We're like, damn, bro, these hoes are ugly. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, we were really like flabbergasted. We were like, dude, without the makeup, without all the bullshit that they have tacked on, they really weren't that attractive. And, this is like a group of like 50, 60 women, you know what I mean? And like seeing the difference, it's like, holy shit. Like, they really do be catfishing, And it sucks because, so you see these girls all makeup, all dolled up, beautiful, right? But when you remove the makeup, when you remove the clothes, when you remove all the fucking crap that they put on, the followers, the fucking attitude, all these little things that they're doing, the personality, all these little things that they're doing, all these little fucking strategies to make themselves more attractive. When you strip all that stuff away, they're really no different from us in looks. They are average. They are normal. They do not look like a different fucking species. They do not look like a fucking angelic beings. They look like regular humans. You know what I mean? Like most men, we don't use makeup. We don't have the privilege of using fucking filters and shit. And I mean, if you are a guy using a filter, that's kind of weird, but we do not have the privilege of like fucking doing all this crazy shit. You know what I mean? At least, I mean, you can if you want, but most men in general, masculine men, whatever, like you want to be like a regular, like good looking man. Most men are going to be called a fucking clown if you got piercings in your face, makeup, hair dye, everything. And by the way, if you want to boost up your looks, boost up your attractiveness, get a girlfriend, get a wife, book a one-on-one coaching call with me down below. I do one-on-one coaching. I help people get to their ideal vision. I help people get out of ruts. So if you are in a rut, or if you're having some sort of relationship problems, book a one-on-one call with me down below in the description and the comments. But back to the video. Without all this bullshit, they're really not much different from us, you know. And when you see that, and like I said, when you get on Tinder, when you get on dates, when you start getting dates, and you see the pictures that these girls post, and you actually see them in person, sure, they might not be fucking hideous, but you're like, wow, in their pictures, they looked so much better. They look so much more attractive in their photos. But in real life, when you look past, like, you know, some of these girls, you see them, you're like, damn, she's really not as hot as I really thought. You know, if you looked at her Instagram and then you see her in person, she's really not as hot as you think, as she looks in those Instagram posts. A lot of women fraud their weight. Fat bitches. Fucking take angles and stuff, bro. Like, they fucking make themselves look all thick and juicy. And then you see them in person and they're just kind of overweight. You know, they're bigger. You know, it's crazy, man. You know, and women are never going to stop doing this. This is something they're going to keep doing. Women's beauty is their ultimate weapon. And obviously, the girl that looks more attractive is going to have better options. She's going to have a better outcome, find better genetics for her children, find a more handsome man or a more successful man than the woman that isn't attractive. So women are always going to leverage this, you know. I don't really see a way of changing the game. There is no change in the game. They're always going to do this. Women are always going to use makeup. Women are always going to fucking dye their hair. They're always going to fucking pierce themselves, wear clothes, fucking do this, do that, angles, pictures, fraud, catfishing, whatever you want to call it. It's never going to stop. But what you can do, if you're an average, normal man, this is for average guys. This is advice for men that are normal, that feel like getting a decent girl, a normal girl, is unattainable because you feel like you're like a 3 or a 4 and all these girls are like 5s and above. Think about this. Without all that bullshit, they're really not that much different from you, bro. They really aren't. They're hiding behind a mask that makes them look more attractive than you, but without that mask, they're really about the same. And also, women gas each other up. You'll see an ugly girl post a selfie on Instagram, and you'll see all these hot chicks queening her up, gassing her up, saying, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful. Oh my, wow, stunning, slay queen." Guys, we all fucking know that this chick is not attractive. You know what I mean? But women do this. Women do this they gas each other up. They fucking boost up their ego. And all of a sudden, a 3 out of 10 thinks she's a 5 out of 10. A 5 out of 10 thinks she's a 7 out of 10. A 7 out of 10 thinks that she's a 9 out of 10. And a 9 out of 10 thinks that she is an 11. Because these hoes are gassing each other up. Simple as that. And all this fake ego boosting and all, it's all just to hide their insecurities. Women are extremely insecure about their image, about their appearance, about how the world perceives them. So they have to use all these little tactics to make themselves, to give their ego something to grasp onto. They need to feel like they're being validated. They crave the attention of men. They crave the attention of other women. They want people to acknowledge them. They want people to like their photos. They want people to DM them. They want guys to, even if they don't like these guys, even if they don't fucking even plan on fucking with you, just you DMing her, liking her shit, messaging her, leaving emojis is going to boost up her ego. Because that's just another dopamine hit. That's just another bit of validation telling her that she is indeed attractive. That's why women do this stuff. It's for their ego. It's for themselves. They do it for them. Just like what we do. We do a lot of stuff for ourselves. A lot of men get into fitness. There are things that we can do as men to even the odds. You can make more money. That's one way. You can improve your body. You can go to the gym. You can get more muscular. You could improve your face. You could improve your mouth. You could talk with more charisma. There are things that we still have weapons that we can use as men. There are still things that we can improve on. Yeah, we can't use makeup. Yeah, we can't use fucking filters. Yeah, just because, you know, even a fucking low tier woman can still find a man. Bro, we've all seen this. You know what I'm talking about? Some like ugly, fat, overweight woman out there. She can get a guy to come over that day, that night, maybe even within a fucking hour if she wanted to. A very unattractive woman could get a man to come over to lay the pipe within a fucking hour, maybe even 20 minutes. I'm willing to say 20 fucking minutes. There might be dudes fucking driving over immediately. But you get the point. Another man at the same level, a 2 out of 10 man, a 3 out of 10 man, cannot do that. There's guys that go years without play. There's guys that go years without holding a woman's hand. Hell, I know handsome guys. I have known handsome guys that are fucking virgins at the age of 24 and above. I have known a few guys that there was nothing wrong with them as far as looks. They looked normal. They were handsome. They had a good face. They were tall. And these dudes were still fucking virgins. Had not kissed a girl. Had not fucked with a girl. And because their mental frame was holding them back. Something was holding these fucking dudes back. Ugly guy. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that it's fucking harder if you're a man. But you can't give up. Your mind is your own worst enemy. You have to fucking break out of the mental trap. You have to see women as less than what you think they are. Okay, so like those handsome guys, they had trouble talking to women because they were afraid. They didn't know how to. They were afraid. They were awkward. They were clumsy. And same thing with a lot of unattractive guys. When you're unattractive, at least when you're an attractive guy, most likely, naturally, throughout your life, you become accustomed to normal dating rituals. Because there's girls that have crushes on you. They might ask you out. They might, you know, fucking give you a flower or whatever, give you a kiss on the cheek. You know, throughout school, you might have like a little girlfriend or whatever, you know, or in high school, you might have a girlfriend. But when you're unattractive, this is where you see the incels kind of spike up. The handsome men that are lonely is an anomaly. All right, I'll just be honest. It is an example I used, but it's not the norm. let's be real. The norm is that if you are an unattractive man, if you are overweight, if you are ugly, if you have a bad face, if you have bad hygiene, bad style, if you are awkward, if you do not have a very active social life, or you don't get exposed very often to women, chances are that you're probably struggling. And if you do find someone, you probably latch onto them because you don't have very many options. But there's just as much women out there that are in your level. So why is it so hard? Why would an unattractive man have trouble finding an unattractive woman? Because these unattractive women are still getting with guys that are slightly more attractive than them. This is a good rule of thumb. Women date up. Women date men that they see a level or two above them. So if she sees herself as a 6 out of 10, she will try to find a man that is a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10. This is a good rule of thumb. If she is a 5, she will try to find a man that's a 6 or a 7. If she is a 4, so slightly below average, she will try to find a 5 or a 6 if she's lucky. So she will try to find an average man. If she is a baddie, she will try to find like a Chad. You know, she's going to try to find that handsome, tall, successful man. You know, especially if she's a baddie. Now, I will say this. It does get thinned out a little bit. It does get a little bit harder for the baddies. And I'm going to spit some game right here. The very attractive women. One thing you will notice is that actually once you get to like the 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 women, you will find a lot of the time that the men that they're with, that they're married to, or they have kids with, that the man isn't horrendous looking, but he's not a 10. A lot of these men are not 10 out of 10s. They're not 11 out of 10s. They're not 9s or even 8s. They're maybe 6s or 7s, most of them. And this is because an actual Chad out in the wild, go out in real life. I want you to really think about how often do you actually see an actual fucking Chad? Think about this. Very rare. Very fucking rare. Extremely attractive men, 9 out of 10 men, 10 out of 10 men, whatever, are very rare. Baddies, very hot women are everywhere, okay? This is something that's true. Beauty in women, there is a lot more beautiful women than there is attractive men. I will say that, like in the upper echelons. There is a lot more, you know, you go out in public, you will see some very attractive women. Shit, man. You know, you can go out to the fucking store, Walmart, and you'll see some baddies, maybe 1 or 2. But to see a fucking Chad, not very often. And when you do see an actual Chad, congratulations. You just seen a rare sighting. Now, there is places where Chads do conglomerate. Like colleges, for example. You know, obviously if you go to a fucking college or university and there's a bunch of fucking football players or whatever, some, you know, sports guys, athletic guys, you will see a higher concentration of Chad type guys, you know, very attractive guys. But in the normal fucking world, in your everyday, in society itself, I'm not talking about fucking college, I'm not talking about a fucking football team or whatever, or fucking whatever the fuck you want to talk about. I'm talking about like regular fucking society. You go out in public, most of the men, 90 fucking % of them are average. 90%. They're either a 4 or a 5 or a 6 or 7. So typically, if you're a man and you can make it a little bit past the average mark, if you can get to at least a 6 and above, bare minimum 6, you can fuck with baddies. Because like I said, we can improve our money. That's one power we have. Our money, our financial, our status. Men can gain power. And power is attractive. Cars, houses, shit like that. We can also improve our bodies. So if you are a 5 out of 10, if you get a six-pack, if you get chiseled, if you get in good shape, you have bumped yourself up to a 6. You can gain an extra 1 or 2 points just by getting fit. You guys want to know something extremely crazy? I think it was something like 2/3 of Americans are overweight. 2 fucking thirds. So just by not being fucking overweight, you've probably already risen by 1 or 2 points. You want to know another thing? I think something like less than 5% of men gain a six-pack during their lifetime. It was like 5 to 10%. You would think a six-pack is super common. You know, you watch movies and shit. The fucking Brad Pitt takes his shirt off and shit. He's like a fucking, you know, normal guy or whatever. You know, whatever you want to call it. These fucking actors take their shirt off. UFC fighters and stuff. But no, six-packs are extremely rare. Just like Chad's. Being an exceptional man is rare. It is extremely rare. So even if you're an average man, you still have a chance, because that's the thing. These baddies are going to have to settle. That's the thing. There is lots of attractive women out there. There is a good handful of attractive ladies that you can find. They're not rare. They are common. Now, like I said earlier in the video, unattractive women, mid women, normal women are everywhere. They try to act like they're baddies, but they're not. You just have to look past the veil. But what I'm saying is, to see Chads is rare. To see beautiful women is not rare. I would say maybe out of every 10 women, 2 to 3 are probably like 7 and above. You know what I mean? Like, if you took 10 random women, probably 2 of those women would be very pretty. The other 8 would probably be average. If you took 10 men, maybe fucking shit, you would have to fucking increase the amount of men. You'd probably have to put 20 or 30 men in a fucking room, and maybe one of them is exceptionally attractive. So book that coaching call down below if you're in a fucking rut or you're going through some shit. I will help you. Do not worry. We will figure out what the fuck is going on. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Peace out, fellas.